So it's actually quite a bit different now because when they created several new missions a year and a half ago or so, 2 years maybe, they split the Idaho Boise mission into 3 missions. And so it's now the Idaho Boise mission, the Idaho Nampa mission, and the Idaho Twin Falls mission. But when I was there, it was all 3, and so the boundaries were south central Idaho, all the way to, it's probably the eastern quarter of Oregon, all the way up to the border of Oregon and Washington. And so it was probably a 6-hour drive from a little town called Declo, to LeGrand in Oregon, and then a time zone change as well. And so it was a huge mission. We had 190 missionaries, a couple visa waiters, a couple senior couples, and so usually over 200 missionaries there. And a temple in Boise, a temple in Twin Falls, and then one announced in Meridian, which is just the next town over from Boise. And so that was sort of the state of the mission, maybe geographically, when I was there. We went as far north as Cascade and a little town called Riggins, and then into Jackpot, Nevada. So there were 4 states in the mission. Now the Idaho Boise mission is basically Boise, Meridian, I think Eagle and Star are included in that, which is just 2 towns north of Meridian, and then a town called Idaho City. And so I think that's basically what it is. Very small compared to what it was. But still a lot of missionaries there. And there's Spanish and English in the Idaho Boise mission. And when I was there were about 40 Spanish-speaking missionaries in 2 zones, and then 10 zones of English-speaking missionaries. And so that was the bulk of the work. I think the city itself is about 250,000 in Boise, which is the largest city by far in Idaho. There are just 1.5 million in the whole state. And so that's where it's really, the population center really is. You can be in so many different places though, right in Boise. I mean, it's kind of this historic part of Boise where the people ride their road bikes to work and eat granola and drive hatchbacks and things like that. And then there's the very, maybe what somebody would expect of Idaho, where they hunt and they have their bulls and like antlers on the mantelpiece and things like that. And so you get a wide range of things just right there in Boise, but that's sort of, you can expect a lot of different things, and sometimes you don't know what to expect when you go to a different place. But they call it the banana belt, sort of this, probably from like Caldwell, close to Mountain Home, where the temperature is actually not what you'd think of when you think of Idaho temperature, like the really windy, really cold in the winter. It's not necessarily that way in Boise, actually. In the winter, there'll be some snow. Maybe you get a snowfall of like 6 to 8 inches. But most times the snow melts before the end of the day. In fact, they rarely even send plows out during the winter. And so, yeah, really it's not overly cold. You might get a week of like temperatures in the teens, but for the most part it'll be in the 30s during the winter, high 20s or something like that. And so it's not too bad. In the summertime, you'll get a week or 2 or 3 of about 100, or maybe a week of 105 or something like that in July or August. And so it can get hot. I'd say it's probably hotter than it is cold, but so it's not quite the total extreme like you get, which would be in the Pocatello mission, like Rexburg and Idaho Falls, and over there where it's just blistering cold all the time and everybody's miserable and you don't see the ground for 4 months or whatever. But so it's really nice, and the weather is, yeah, it's very manageable. You'd bring a coat, like a heavy coat, because it'll get cold. And then in the summertime you'll want all short sleeve shirts and things like that. But you know, it's something that you can manage even while you're there. You can come with what you have and then just kind of adjust accordingly. It's not, you're not going to die if all you have is long sleeve shirts or short sleeve shirts, but you want to have a mix of both, because you know, there's a pretty good range between hot and cold, just not too extreme.